The room stays empty. I used to think hotels at night were too busy being helpful to be haunted. Soft lamps, carpet that forgives, the hum of ice machines like polite weather. I'm 25, the night auditor at an old downtown hotel with a lobby that smells like lemon oil and history. My job is simple: balance the folios, run the night batch, print arrivals, and never ever program a master key after midnight. Extra rules from Dolores, the day manager. Donati put guests above the 10th floor when the elevator is in manual. Don't go into the service corridor alone. And if the switchboard rings with no caller ID, let it roll. She laughed when she said it. The laugh didn't stick. By 11:06 p.m., the jazz on the lobby playlist had learned to whisper. The fireplace screen clicked like it wanted to be a train. I printed the pre-arrivals. The thermal chit curled warm in my hand, with names and room numbers. Then a line I didn't request. Do not make master. No header. Along the edge, microscopic gray. That wasn't the hour. 3:13. The desk clock said 11:07. I stuck the strip to the terminal because paper is a superstition that behaves if you let it. The first odd thing was polite. 2 taps. On the brass bell at the counter, measured, like knuckles practicing. I looked up at glass doors that reflect you like you're trying on your face. My reflection lagged a half beat. Behind my shoulder, a head, tilted toward my ear, mouth parted like it had reached the first half of don't. I blinked and got the revolving door turning itself just enough to make a point and not enough to earn a note in the log. The switchboard lit. Lobby. We have a superstition about that lamp after midnight. I pressed the key. The line exhaled like it had been holding a word. A careful voice, slow, like each syllable was being lowered into place by 2 fingers, said, "Don't make master." Not Dolores, not housekeeping, the kind of voice museums use when they explain rules to hands. I told the empty air, copy, because saying it out loud keeps walls polite. A couple came in with hands full of a fight, and the hotel did what hotels do, took the shape of their story and delivered key cards and a map to the small pool at the end of a hallway that grows older as you walk it. When they turned away, the key encoder's screen, asleep, lit with a card I didn't call. Program master. Confirm? Under it. Double tap to confirm. With 2 tiny hearts that did a patient little pulse. I hit cancel. The screen thought about disobedience and cooled like a scolded stove. The guest printer coughed a second strip, edges damp as if the letters had sweated. Leave. Room sealed. No room number. If you work nights long enough, you learn that sentences like that don't need one. I did the brave thing you do when you aren't work. Night audit is arithmetic, dressed up in courtesy. I closed the bar, posted cash, ran batch. Somewhere in the service corridor, a cartwheel remembered a squeak. The service elevator, tiny, polite, older than my mother, decided to chime 1 note lower than the day bell and stopped on 11, even though the motor room says it won T. At 11:31, the building changed its mind about noise. Not quieter, aligned. HVAC, lobby fan, ice machine, the transformer behind the exit sign. They breathed on the same beat for a long, thin moment, like a choir learning a held note. In that chord, the switchboard, lamp, lobby blinked once, and the glass on the front doors fogged. A palm, blooming from the outside, 5 ovals and a heel, and eager sliding. Down an inch before thinning, the revolving door turned itself a polite quarter. A do not disturb tag slid off a hook in my drawer and landed like it had been told. The back of the tag has printed rules in small print: quiet hours, how to dial out, no parties. Someone with a pencil had pressed hard through decades to add leave 313 empty on the cardboard. Our floors jump from 12 to 14, like buildings are superstitious. Our room numbers do too. I wrote tag anomaly on the log because I get paid to pretend all things are a kind of math. The elevator camera glitched. For one frame, the car showed a mirror that wasn't T centered right, and a hand flattened against it from the wrong side, a fog oval, and a slide map down like gravity had learned patience. Next frame, brushed steel, and nobody. I took a walk to the mezzanine because stairs make choices feel honest. The ballroom doors breathed draft at me like a mouth. In the glass of a framed print where a flapper pretends to be amused, my head did the trick again. Half beat behind. Tilt. Mouth parted on. Don't. I told the print to keep its opinions and went back to the desk. A man came in from the rain in a jacket that had decided to be darker at the cuffs. He wanted a room high up, with a view of something. We were empty enough to pretend we had views. The system offered 1312. It also offered in a ghost gray row that vanished if you looked at it straight on. He tapped the counter with 2 fingers. A patient, tap-tapper like a person asking for a favor in a language he didn't speak. Any chance? He said. I could have the one that's always empty? Which one is that? I asked. He smiled without teeth. You know, I put him in 709 because I'm allowed to lie for health. At midnight, the rough fireplace sighed and remembered not to be an actual fire. The bellman stand watched me like a spare rib. The switchboard, lobby, key tried again. I let it ring to voicemail and watched the live transcription in a font that my manager ES emails would wear. Donity make, master leave it sealed. The timestamp at the bottom blinked, 3.13, and fixed itself to 12.2. Dolores texted me from a family plan that uses periods for everything. Quiet night. I typed, mostly. On my screen, the timestamp flicked 2:3:13, and back so quickly the glass felt like it wanted to laugh and didn't know how. I took the stack of forgotten umbrellas from the lost and found and leaned them against the stand like I had accomplished something. When I came back around the desk, one had fogged palm gas on its canopy. From the inside, 5 ovals and a heel that slid an inch and stopped as if it had reached a seam. I put it in the back and told myself I was being tidy. At 12:23, the service corridor knocked twice, measured, as if something behind the linen closet had learned punctuation. No, I told the closet, not tonight. The handle turned a hair and obeyed. A couple checked out early because hotels do that to marriages. I printed their folio. The printer coughed an extra receipt into the tray. Leave room 12, where a number should have been, and where it was. In the margin, 313, as if a clerk ghost were trying helpful and landing on creepy. A call came in from room with no number. I pressed the key and said the script. The careful voice, leave the room. Then a small breath like a person getting ready to say, Don Tas, and choosing to be polite. At 12:41, the lobby playlist looped. and found a song that had learned to be weather. In that held lightness, the ice machine, and the fan, and the elevator motor room, and the fridge aligned. For 8 counts, the service elevator chimed that wrong, lower chime, and stopped with its doors a quarter-inch proud, like a person waiting for you to meet them halfway. The key encoder lit. Program master. Double tap to confirm. The hearts pulsed. The switchboard whispered, "Don't make master." I put my hand on the encoder like you put a hand on a child's shoulder when a street gets loud. The man from 709 came down to ask for toothpaste. He stood at the marble, like people do when they're between stories. "We had knocks," he said, embarrassed. "Twice. Polite, like room service without the tray." I handed him a kit and a sentence. "We leave the door locked." He nodded like I'd given him a map. The lobby doors sighed a double, as if the night had walked in. In the reflection, a palm pressed on the glass. From the street, 5 ovals and a heel. It slid a courteous inch and left nothing. Outside, the rain began to mean it. At 1:06, the house phone motor rang. If you lift it, you get the operator even though the operator is me. I let it complain and watched the red light blink in that heartbeat way. Tap, tap, rest, tap, tap. And thought about the nights my apartment door plays the same game when the hallway radiators get sweet on ghosts. A woman in a trench coat asked if the bar was still serving. The bar wasn't serving, and this wasn't that kind of hotel. I offered a mini bottle from the market and a cup with too much ice, which is its own superstition. She asked if we had any rooms on the 13th floor. "We don't number that way," I said. She smiled like she knew we did. The elevator stopped on 3 for a long minute without a call. The camera showed the car for one frame in the fog on the mirror that shouldn't have fog. A head tilted toward a place a shoulder would be if bodies cared about symmetry. Mouth parted on "don't." Then brushed steel and an empty handrail. At 1:41, the fireplace aligned, its sigh with the HVAC and the sign transformer and my own breath. The switchboard. Lobby. Key lit. When I didn't press it, the line made a sound like a shell and an ocean had reached a compromise. "Leave the room," the careful voice said again. My eyes went to the back of the "Do Not Disturb" tag and the battered pencil letters. "Leave 313 empty." I wrote, "Quiet night." On the shift report, because the morning likes to see it spelled like that. The letters looked wet on the paper for a second longer than ink should. I looked up the way you do when a story tells you to. The door to the service corridor shivered. Against its latch, the palm of fog inside the little wired glass window appeared. A thumb higher than breath, and slid an inch like it had practiced. At the 3:13, because some hours apply for shifts, every light in the lobby blinked once and held. The elevator chimed the wrong chime. The service corridor knocked twice, and the encoder cooled under my palm. The switchboard exhaled one last careful sentence. Patient as a rule. Leave it empty. The pre-arrival report refreshed itself. Where had lived. The line cleared, and the hotel remembered it had one fewer room than any map. Dawn made the brass look like it had been polished by better people. Dolores came in at 6 with coffee and a face that counts nights by the eyes of the person on the other side of the desk. "Quiet?" she asked. "Mostly," I said, and slid her the damp-edged strips. She frowned at "Do not make master." Like it was a systems message she would argue with, even if it were right. "Printer's old," she said, "the manager's spell for mercy." She touched the key encoder like a nurse checks a forehead, and then laid the "Do Not Disturb" tag down under the counter with its pencil letters face down, like that would keep ink from remembering how to be words. I traded nights for days a month later and told people I missed seeing check-ins happen in sunlight. Some mornings, in my apartment, my phone flips to Dora Radio 3.13 and back while I'm making coffee, and the peephole glass unfogs a thumb width higher than I can reach while, palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. When it does, I keep my hands off my spare keys, off doors that want 2 taps to feel like friends, and I say, in the steady voice the lobby taught me, the room stays empty. For a long, thin moment, the door cools under my palm, as if another hand has matched mine and agreed. The building breathes one note, like a hotel that has decided not to be a choir. And whatever was practicing my name on the other side, mouth parted on the first half of "Don't Worries," chooses a different front desk and leaves me to count the day's arrivals in honest light.
If you survived this far, leave your like to prove you are not afraid.